All right, everyone, welcome to the April 2nd meeting of the Rotary Club of Beavercreek, the Good Friday edition. I'll ask you if you would please to mute your microphones. I'm glad all of you could be here today. I'd like to thank our greeters. I'd like to thank Mike Zwick for our speakers and programs. I'd like to thank Jim Gundel and Alex Zaharieff for website and YouTube, Beth Cusack for our book dedication, and our special guest, Jacob Jones from WSU, who will speak to us a little bit about himself and his education. He was the recipient of the Beavercreek Rotary Scholarship, so look forward to seeing what he has to say. I'd like to welcome all of our members who joined us today, any guests that may be joining, and if you are a guest, would you please introduce yourself?
My name is Mike Thonnerieux. I'm the Public Administrative Service Director for the City of Beavercreek, and thank you for the opportunity to be here today.
Thank you, Mike. Welcome. All right, and as always, a special welcome to our speakers. We have three of them today. We have Mike, we have Mr. Paul Otten, who's the superintendent, as everybody knows, and we also have Alex Zaharieff that'll be presenting as well. So far, our club's been averaging 37 on Zoom and 13 on YouTube, and with that, I will turn it over to our Sergeant at Arms, Mr. Dave Fleming.
All right, Mr. President. So it's Houston versus Baylor, UCLA versus Gonzaga. Early predictions indicate it will be Baylor and Gonzaga in the men's final. For the women, it's Stanford versus North Carolina, and UConn will take on Arizona. And as the president indicated, he found this statistic out of 14.7 million people who submitted brackets to the Sports Center Challenge. 14.7 million, only 2,873 had the final four correct, for a percentage of 0.0002%. Apparently, very few people thought UCLA would make it into the finals, but there they are. A few other items throughout the past week. AR-15 rifles, which were used by many others, but used most recently by the man who killed 10 people in a Colorado supermarket, are promoted by the NRA as America's Rifle. How cool is that? A massive cargo ship with thousands of containers wedged in the Suez Canal has been released after blocking passage of dozens of others, including ships that had my Christmas presents on them. So hopefully I'm going to get my Christmas presents this year on time. Survey indicates over 2 million Ohioans say they don't plan to get vaccinated. I'm so proud of our state sometimes. And finally, Casinos Pizza will build an 18,000 square foot freezer in Kettering. Maybe they can store some of our meat that has a problem during the DP&L extended power outages, which seem to happen pretty frequently in my neighborhood. Other places around the world, it was a good week for diplomacy after the Japanese government asked China to stop testing Japanese tourists for COVID using anal swabs. I didn't know that was a possibility. The efficacy of the tests, quote, has not been confirmed anywhere else in the world, said a Japanese official, and they cause great psychological pain, not to mention other kinds of pain. Amazon tweeted the look of a button on its new iPhone app. Tweaked the look of a button on its new iPhone app following complaints it looked like a smirking Adolf Hitler. Amazon did not address the Hitler resemblance, but said the new icon would be better, spark anticipation, excitement, and joy. Oh, low blows. Far-right Newsmax network ran a segment accusing Champ, President Biden's 12-year-old German Shepherd, of looking dirty and unpresidential. Multitasking. Dr. Scott Green, a California plastic surgeon, attempted to zoom into a traffic court appearance with an anesthetized patient lying unconscious behind him. I have another surgeon right here, Green told an unconvinced Commissioner Gary Link, who has insisted on rescheduling the hearing. Pandemic has caused a surge in the number of men wearing makeup, with men spending hours scrutinizing their faces on Zoom calls. Google searches for men's makeup have soared nearly 80% from 2019. Sales of men's cosmetics are booming. People are already saying I look younger in my videos, says realtor and makeup user Ben Dixon. An award-winning master chef in Rome has stirred controversy by serving lasagna toothpaste at his restaurant. Valerio Braschi, 23, won the Master Chef Italia award at just 18 years old. His latest creation is serving up tubes of warm puree of minced meat and tomato sauce, which dinners squeeze onto a toothbrush made from egg pasta and eat with a sauce of liquefied Parmesan cheese. Very good, very interesting. And finally, in the news department, a toilet seat that once belonged to Adolf Hitler has sold for $18,750 at auction. The white wooden seat was taken from Hitler's Bavarian retreat, the Burghof, by a soldier, Ragnvald Borsch, at the end of the Second World War. A seat remained on display in the soldier's basement for decades until his son decided to auction it off. Bill Panagopoulos of Alexander Historical Auctions said the toilet seat was as close to a throne as the dictator would ever get, adding, one can scarcely imagine the plotting the tyrant undertook while contemplating the world from atop his perch. Okay, and let's see, what else do we have? I gave you some news and some sports. Here's some pornography. Pornography would be words that don't they don't fit in the sentence in the way that they were intended to, but yeah, it's better if you read them. I changed my iPod name to Titanic. It's sinking now. Sinking, S-Y-N-C. I tried to catch some fog. I missed, M-I-S-T. When chemists die, what do they do? What do they do, Jack Henderson, when chemists die? They bury them, B-A-R-I-U. Jokes about German sausage are the worst. A soldier who survived mustard gas and pepper spray is now a seasoned veteran. I know a guy who's addicted to brake fluid. He says he can stop anytime. I stayed up all night to see where the sun went. Then it dawned on me. Let's see. I'm reading a book about anti-gravity. I can't put it down. They told me I had type A blood, but it was a typo. A typo in the typing. Dyslexic man walks into a bra. PMS jokes aren't funny, period. Why were the Indians here first? Alex, Zaharieff, why were the Indians here first? They had reservations. They had reservations. Superintendent Paul, did you hear about the cross-eyed teacher who lost her job because she couldn't control her pupils?
I did not.
You didn't hear about that one. Maybe she didn't teach at Beavercreek schools. Oh, England has no kidney bank, but it does have a liver pool. All the toilets in New York's police stations have been stolen. Police have nothing to go on in solving the mystery. Haunted French pancakes give me the crepes. Okay, that's it. Oh, well, here's one more. Cartoonist found dead in his home. Details are sketchy. Details are sketchy. So we do have a couple of birthdays on the 5th. Teresa Garacci. On the 6th, Carrie Souter. On the 8th, Fran O'Shaughnessy. And Jack Henderson on the 1st. That would have been yesterday, April Fool's Day. You celebrated 29 years as a member of this club. Congratulations to you, Jack. I'm sure you'll want to offer a generous happy buck in that regard. And we do have some fines. Good luck trying to collect them. But anyway, here they are. If you got tested for COVID, you pay $1. If you ever had a dirty German Shepherd, that's $1. If you saw a plastic surgeon last week, that's $1. Or if you've been to the Yukon Territory. Oh, I didn't tell that story about the Yukon Territory. There was a guy who went up to the Yukon trying to get a COVID shot and pretended like he was he's a millionaire actually, but he tried to pretend like he was a fast food worker or something, and they caught up with him when he tried to hitch a airplane ride home. So, Mr. President, I will turn the microphone over to you, the audio over to you for the collection of happy bucks.
Thank you, Dave. Your jokes reminded me of a joke that my 15-year-old daughter told me. She says, "I like to tell dad jokes. He laughs sometimes." And with that, before we get to happy bucks, we have a special treat. We have a show and tell presenter by the name of Carrie Tucker. If you need screen privileges, let me know and I will give them to you. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, Carrie. Thank you.
Perfect. Yep. If you could let me share my screen, I'm going to copy Sandy. I have a mini PowerPoint.
All yours.
Cool. Okay. Can you see? What can you see right now?
Yep. Looks good.
Okay.
UD basketball.
Yay. Perfect. So, I haven't been as good about being on virtually. So just in case you don't know who I am, the arrow is pointing to me, and that's me standing next to Obi Toppin. I'm a huge UD men's basketball fan and a huge Obi Toppin fan. So I guess by default, I'm now a Knicks fan, but this was a few years ago when one of my sons was at a UD basketball camp, and I, of course, had to ask for a picture because that's just what I do. So we're a military family. My husband, Sean, is in the middle there. He pinned on Colonel last July. And then those are my two sons. Cannon is my oldest in the black shirt. And then Palmer is younger. I'm sorry, Cannon is 17 and Palmer is 15. And then my absolute favorite thing in our house is my dog, Vaughn. He's phenomenal and my best friend. And he's getting his teeth cleaned today. So say a little prayer for Vaughn that everything goes well. I work for Shriners Children's, Ohio. I'm not going to say much about that because we are actually giving a presentation. The picture, the lady that I'm with, and that is my boss, Bethany Dinas. And I believe she is scheduled to give a presentation April 23rd to you guys. So we did currently move, or sorry, not currently. We did move up from Cincinnati. So now we are in Dayton Children's. And so my commute, even though I work from home, is a lot less when I do go into the hospital. So it's phenomenal and I love it. Oh, so really quick about my boys. Sorry, Paul. I'm gonna give a shout out to Carol. I have a junior and a freshman. My freshman swims. So that's Palmer. And then I don't have Cannon's volleyball picture yet, but Cannon plays volleyball and he really hopes that he can play in college. So, you know, but we love Carol. We love the Carol family. We were a part of the Beavercreek family up until 8th grade. And then we made the switch, but overall 2 great schools. So if you know me, you know I love being outside. This is probably like the one thing that is my favorite thing. Anything outside. We are on the Little Miami probably every weekend that the weather allows. We do a lot of hiking, and we have a friend who has a cabin down Lake Cumberland that lets us use it. And so we go down there quite a bit too. But I'm originally from Colorado, so I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but the outdoor like opportunities in Ohio is probably one of the main reasons Sean and I decided to move back here from DC, and then we'll retire here. So and this is kind of a little like cluster of Cary. My parents, or my mom and my in-laws, my family are super important. My mom moved out here about 4 years ago when we moved back about a year later. And a little shout out to the Air Force marathon there. I've done either the 10K or the half marathon every year, except for last year. I didn't do the virtual one. I love wine. Sandy, that one is for you. And if you haven't been to Southern Ohio Brewery, I'm gonna put a little plug in there. It's right off Factory Road and it is amazing. And it's in Beavercreek and everybody should try it. You can bring your dog, you can bring your food. No, they're not paying me for this, but we're there all the time. I love it. And then I did an Ironman a few years ago. I've done 2 of them and I signed up again this year for the Ohio one. So I'm in the process of attempting to train for that. And we'll see how that goes. It's been interesting so far. Anyway, that's it. That's a little bit about us, about me, myself, and I.
Thank you, Carrie. That was wonderful. So, so good to get to know people in the club. And even though we can't connect on a face-to-face basis, we can at least get to learn a little bit about each other over Zoom. So thank you again. So part of the benefit of doing show and tell is you get to nominate someone. So you can either do that now, or I can wait till the end of the meeting. If you have a person in mind and they're willing to accept, I'll go ahead and take it.
Okay, so I don't know who is already gone since I've missed so many meetings, but if they haven't gone yet, I'd like to nominate the O'Shaughnessy's.
The O'Shaughnessy's, are they on here? I thought I saw
They
them.
are. Well, I see Ed was on.
Yeah, Ed's on Friends at Church,
Ed, do you?
Okay.
being Good Friday. I suppose we can come up with some kind of team effort.
Yeah, I think that'd be fabulous.
Okay.
Doesn't necessarily have to be a PowerPoint. It's great to have a PowerPoint, but it could be anything. So thank you for accepting that, Ed, and thank you, Carrie, for presenting to us.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, Happy Bucks. I'll give the first one, and it's for show and tell. I've really enjoyed all the show and tells and getting to know each person and what they bring, whether it be a PowerPoint about their family, about their career, anything like that. So I'll give a Happy Buck about that, and I'll turn it over to the floor for any other Happy Bucks.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off that. Enjoyed that slideshow. Thanks for sharing that, Carrie. But to kind of help support Paul, I will say that I went to Carroll and Beavercreek, and I graduated at Beavercreek. So I think that says enough.
Got kicked out of Carroll, huh?
I was asked to leave, and I left gladly.
Oh, kidding.
I'm glad you said it, Mike, because I was going to have to throw that in there. But
Hey, and I'll just add, I'm a proud graduate of Elder High School down in Cincinnati. So even though I've got the Catholic side as well. So my dad was the principal of Elder High School for almost 40 years there. So I think both schools are great.
All right. Any other Happy Bucks?
Go ahead, Jack.
I've got 29 Happy Bucks for my 29 years in Rotary. So
Congratulations, Jack. It's been great to have you.
I've got one. Greene County Public Library is happy to be partnering with the Ohio Department of Health on distributing rapid COVID-19 tests. And for the record, it is a nasal swab, just to be clear, after the sergeant's report. That's for you, Reverend Fleming. But they're free for the public. They reached out to public libraries because we are accessible, and they had purchased about 2 million of these tests, and they want to get them out to the hands of the public. So if you're a small business owner, it's a great resource for you that if you have employees who need to test before returning to work, or if you're traveling or for any other means, please, feel free to stop by the public library. It's all by curbside. So if you're sick or have been in contact, please make sure that you call and pick it up through curbside service. And so far, the past couple of weeks, we've distributed about 500 of them to the Greene County community.
Wow, thank you, Beth. Any other happy bucks?
No, I'll ask a question though. This is Jerry. Beth, on those tests, do you get immediate feedback on them, or do they have to be turned in and?
You do. So you actually download an app. You need to have a smartphone and a computer with a camera, and then you log into, it's called eMed, and it's proctored through a service, and you actually get your results within 15 minutes. And you'll have the results for a period of, I believe, of 7 days that you'll be able to show if needed to an employer or anybody.
Okay, thank you. I wasn't familiar with those. Sounds like a good deal.
Great. Yes. Eric.
I'll give a happy buck. I've mentioned before that I'm in the Novavax phase 3 vaccine trial. And this week I was able to schedule, they're doing a crossover study. So they're revaccinating everybody. If you got vaccine the first time, you get placebo. If you got placebo the first time, you get vaccinated. And I'm scheduled for the 20th of April for my first mystery, it'd be my third mystery shot. They promised to tell us in 2 years what we got each time.
All right, any other happy bucks? All right, we'll move on to announcements. First announcement is very important. Please, if you haven't done it in the last 6 months, please go into DACDB so that we have your up-to-date information, whether it be your email, your phone, or your physical address. We're going to be sending out Founders Day invitations to your house this year. So please, if you haven't done so, or if you need help, contact me or contact Eric. He's pretty good at it. But it's very important that we have the correct up-to-date information for Founders Day. Save the date. The 2021 Ohio Rotary District Conference is April 23rd and 24th. It'll be done virtually amongst 4 districts. There's no cost to attend. Registration opens pretty soon. They'll have music, trivia, a keynote speaker. If you need more details on that, let me know. Also, I just mentioned it, save the date. Founders Day is going to be May the 7th. And we're in the midst of planning that. So more information to come on that. We're going to make it really nice. So all those that feel comfortable enough to be in person, although social distanced, please save that date, and we'll have a tech option if you want to tune in via Zoom as well. Lastly, if you're a guest and you haven't already, please put your contact information in the chat. That way I can get a hold of you for our weekly email list. And with that, I will ask Mr. Jacob Jones to speak to us a little bit about himself. He is the recipient of the Beavercreek Rotary Scholarship. So I will turn it over to him. Thank you for being with us, Jacob.
Well, thank you guys. I really appreciate the time to be able to come on. I chose this one. I was looking at the speakers list because Mr. Otten was on here, and I figured I could do some backing up for him since I was a former Beavercreek student. And going off of what Carrie said about Southern Ohio, that is actually a really great place to go. I've seen a lot of families there. They'll solve puzzles out on the lawn. They'll bring their dogs, and they just happen to have good beer too. So certainly a fun little place in Beavercreek. I know the family from tennis and Boy Scouts, so they're very good people. It's a great place to go. So I'm technically a junior at Wright State. I do plan on graduating a semester early, so I'll be graduating this coming December with a degree in business economics. I plan on this summer starting an internship on base. I'll be doing the PSET program, which is Premier College Internship Program, and that will lead into a full-time position upon graduation So I'll be doing acquisitions through base. So I'm very excited to get on that. I've grown up in Beavercreek, and a lot of my friends' parents have worked on base, and my parents work on base now. It seems like very steady and awesome work environment. So I'm very excited for that. During my tenure at Rice State, I planned on just going to school and then going to work and going home and not really getting involved too much. But I did get involved on campus. I've been in student government as Chief Justice, which is kind of like the Supreme Court, if you want to look at it in terms of national government. So I worked a lot on constitutions for student organizations. I lobbied for higher education and on students' behalf for at the Ohio State House. So I've had a lot of experience through that that really helped out. It's just good to be able to network through there. I'm in a fraternity. I was chapter president my sophomore year. So that was a lot of fun being able to especially navigate through COVID with all of that and trying to get everything figured out. So I had a good team with me, and it was very beneficial experience for me. So I really enjoyed that. Also through student government, I got to go a couple of summers back. I got to go to the White House. I got to meet the vice president, and I got to talk with some senior White House officials about leadership, about their experiences, about their college years. So that was a really cool time being able to, be able to go and obviously meet the vice president, but also just be in DC, be in the White House, be in the Capitol. So that was a really, really neat experience that I got to be a part of. That was through a program called Turning Point USA. So that was a lot of fun. More on the academic side, I'm a business economics major, and I really love my degree. I was originally social science education because I really love history and government and politics and things like that. But I decided to go with something more tangible upon graduation. I know there's a big market, and a big market of teachers and not enough slots to fill, especially in the history facet of it. So with economics, I'm able to combine a history of different economic behaviors and provide future models and things like that. So I'm loving my degree. I am excited to graduate in December. The scholarship, I honestly didn't know if I would be getting a scholarship based on my high school interview. I was not a very outgoing person, I want to say. I didn't really have much experience with sitting around and answering questions too much. So I was very nervous, and I'm sure it was very noticeable. But I'm honored that you guys have put your faith into me enough to want to help fund my education. It's really been an honor, and it's really allowed me to pursue my educational career. So I really, really do appreciate your support on that. So after graduation, so right now me and my fiance, who actually went to Beavercreek too, we started dating our freshman year. We're actually planning our wedding now, so we're getting married in September. So we're doing that, and we actually just bought a house in Beavercreek. So we are rooting ourselves in the area. There's no better place to raise kids. I was raised here. Her father was in the military, so she came here, elementary school, but for the most part, she was raised here as well. So it's a great community, and I'm happy to be here. So does anybody have any questions for me? I'd be happy to take some.
Anybody have any questions? Well, thank you, Jacob. Thank you for being with us, and very best of luck to you in the future. And who knows, you end up in Beavercreek, you might end up being a Beavercreek Rotarian. We do a lot of good stuff around here. So thank you again.
Yeah, I'll have to hop on a couple more meetings. Thank you.
Absolutely. Invite your fiance. Okay, so today we have, it's Levy Friday. We have Superintendent Paul Otten. He's going to talk to us about the schools. Mike Thonnerieux, who will talk about Beavercreek streets. And then Alex Zaharieff will be presenting about the Township streets, I believe. So at this time, I'll turn it over to JD Huddleston, who will be moderating our program for today. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. So I'm not going to take up a whole bunch of time. As Mike said, we've got 3 presenters. We want to keep this as quick as possible. So each presenter is going to get about 8 minutes to present. Save all questions for the end of the presentation. That way we're not cutting any of the presenters' time. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce Paul Otten to discuss Beavercreek City Schools.
Great. Thanks, JD. First of all, I want to thank everybody. Jacob, great job today. Proud to have you as an alumni and excited to have you back in the community. So that'll be great. Hey, when we start meeting in person, let me know and I'll take you to lunch and you'll be my guest there. So tell you a little bit about the May 4th levy here that's on the ballot. This will be our 3rd attempt for this levy. I want to give you a little historical information about the levy. This is a combination of 2 levies that have been passed previously. The first one was passed in February of 2001, and this is a brand new levy in 2001, and it was passed at a 9.9 mil levy. 5 years, it generated about $11.1 million for the district. In November of 2003, a second new money levy was passed, and that was a 5.9 mil levy, and it generated $7.4 million. The reason I share those numbers with you is to give you a little perspective. Those 2 levies generate the total of $18.5 million for the district between those 2 levies. And that is what we are asking the community to continue to renew. In November of 2010, the district decided to take those 2 levies and combine them into 1 levy. Which is a huge levy. You typically will not see operating levies across the state and with that dollar amount. But it has been on the books since 2001 and 2003, again, generating $18.5 million. It was renewed in 2015 and we've gone, this will be the 3rd attempt to pass it, but this one's different than the first 2 attempts. The first 2 attempts, we were looking to take the emergency levy and convert it over to a substitute emergency levy, which would do 2 things for our community. First of all, what it would do is it would make the levy permanent because we recognize that $18.5 million of our budget's about a $100 million budget for the school district. And so when you're looking at about approximately 18% of your budget, we know we're going to always need that money. I'm going to give Pete credit for a statement he made a number of years ago. Pete said it never gets cheaper to pave roads. And I'll say it'll never get cheaper to educate kids. The education requirements that continue to come down from the state continue to increase the cost for school districts. And we all know in this community, we are growing by leaps and bounds, putting new homes in, and we know those new homes are going to have kids. And we receive no additional dollars really because of House Bill 920. That limits the money that schools can receive. So when you look at this levy, it's back on the ballot. This time it's not a permanent levy. It is a 5-year renewal. It's a straight renewal, the same renewal that's been on the books really since 2010 and 2015. It's mirrored exactly in that same format as those previous ones. The emergency or the substitute emergency levy would have also generated additional dollars for the school district. I think we've talked about that in the past, but those dollars are collected off of new construction that happens both residentially or commercially. We do not, even though we feel that is the best type of levy to run at this point, we wanted to make it as simple for our community as possible. We felt we didn't want to have confusing language on the ballot. We've done that twice. We've gone after that and we've not been successful. So the board has decided to move forward to make this a straight renewal. I'll tell you some interesting information about it. One of the things that I would encourage everybody to do, I thought this was very interesting. The last time we were on the ballot is we looked at Greene County Auditor. He has a tax estimator that you can Google, Greene County Auditor Tax Estimator. We looked at about 15 houses, people who work in our office to look at the information, because what we've told everybody is that you'll notice that what you're paying today, and if it's approved, it'll show you what you're paying if approved. Of the 15 houses that we looked at, it's actually a decrease in what you are paying today versus what you would pay for the future. Now, I'll tell you right now, I don't know if that holds true for everybody, but at least the 15 that we looked at, there was a slight dollar amount change, not a huge piece there. Tell you a little bit more, if the levy is not successful on May 4th, because this dollar amount will roll off the books at the end of this year, 2021, we have significant reductions that will go in place for the 21-22 school year. So I just want to cover those, and then I think I'll wrap it up. Those reductions are elimination of busing 9 through 12, a reduction in K-8 busing to a 2-mile non-transport zone. Today we offer full-day kindergarten. We would go to the state minimum of a half-day program. Our leveled courses at our high school and middle school would be reduced or eliminated, meaning we would not have those advanced placement, honors, or scholarship courses. Art, music, and PE would be reduced. At all elementary schools, we would no longer have those. We would eliminate foreign language at our middle school. We would close our libraries, and our participation fees, which are currently today are the highest in the GWOC, would be almost triple for our students to participate in this. So none of this is good for our kids. We would be reducing about 134 positions, and we would be saving about $8.5 million. So we're still 10 million short. So really, when you dig into it, it's not a great scenario that we find ourselves in. And as Jacob kind of talked about that experience in Beavercreek, a lot of this takes that away. So not a great thing. So for us, obviously, we're looking to have a lot of support on May 4th for our kids. So that's the May 4th levy.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate the quick presentations. I know there's a lot to cover. We'll save questions for you for later at the end of the thing. And without further ado, we'll introduce Mike Thonnerieux, who is going to talk about city streets.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity. If I could, I'd like to share my screen. Mike, is that able to be done?
You got it.
All right. You guys see a big white blank screen now?
We do.
Good. Well, thank you again for the opportunity to be here. Those of you that know me, and I know a lot of you, know that I usually like to say something before I say something. So if I could, I'd just like to take a brief moment and talk a little bit about some of the things, the construction projects that are going on, and make sure that we kind of update on that. One thing I want to highlight, our Dayton Xenia Road Widening Project is coming along well, starting on April 10th between Central Drive and Forestdale. That's right in the Knollwood Garden Center area. We're going to have a eastbound lane closure. The westbound lane will still be open, and that'll be for 7 days. And that information is going out there today. Basically, that allows us to finish up on the south side of the road, and we can start to begin construction on the north side. Kemp Road Widening Project is moving along. Those of you that drive through there all the time are starting to see some real good progress. Our contractor should be out there the middle of the month to get started, and we're hoping to have this project wrapped up by the end of June. A couple of new projects starting this year that will be tearing apart the city and then putting it back together again is Research Boulevard resurfacing. This is from the eastbound exit lane on 35 all the way to the county line, so Montgomery County line. We've got repairs to medians and a resurfacing program there. That's about a $2 million project. And we've got 75% of that funding coming in grant funding this year. So we're really pleased about that. County Line Road widening project. There's a bottleneck where it runs from 5 lanes to 3 lanes right near Reynolds and Reynolds. This is a joint project between the city of Beavercreek and city of Kettering, as it's right there on that jurisdictional line. It'll open that 3 lanes up to 5 lanes. So it'll match what's there in front of Reynolds and Reynolds. Also has some signal work that's done on Indian Ripple. And this is also a grant project and a joint project between Kettering and us, and approximately 60% of that is paid for by grant funding. Indian Ripple Road, staying down in the south part of our community. Indian Ripple Road, we've got some pedestrian improvements. This is between Harbert Drive and Grange Hall. So just to orient you, right around Casano's Pizza, just down from Speedway, heading towards Grange Hall, towards the Piano Preparatory. We've got a continuation of an 8-foot path on the north side of the road and a 5-foot sidewalk on the south side. It'll also allow us to address some curbing and drainage program, part of the drainage improvements there as well. Our curb and resurfacing program is out. Looks like we're going to pave a little less than 15 miles of roadway this year, which we're really excited about. That's centerline miles of road. And we've got about 1.35 centerline miles of curb that's going to be done. And that'll be in ahead of the resurfacing that'll happen next year. So that's in addition to our resurfacing program. If I could just talk briefly about the levy. I know I'm cognizant of the time here. This levy was first approved in 1986. This is our operations. This is what we use to cover our street operations and our engineering department. The levy expires at the end of the year. It covers our 37 employees for the department. This is a renewal for a continuous period of time. This is significant for us. This is 76% of our operations. This is very meaningful in for what we do. The cost per resident is about $88.93 per $100,000 of valuation of your property. As I mentioned, this is our bread and butter. This is our operations. This is street repair for the 253 centerline miles of road. This is snow and salt snow removal and salt placement. Our road repair, pothole patching, traffic signal operation, signal maintenance, traffic pavement markings. You know, we put almost 3,000 gallons of paint down over 1.5 linear miles of road annually. That's the yellow and the white lines that you see going down the road and the turn arrows. This includes our roadside drainage program, our storm sewer maintenance program, our street sweeping program. We pick up about 250 tons of debris each year as part of our street sweeping program to keep that debris out of our stormwater system. Roadside mowing, landscaping, maintenance of our vehicles, and some capital improvements as well. The amount of money collected is going to be the same as what we've collected before. We'll collect the same amount of money that we did the last cycle. The goal is to stabilize 75% of our operation. That's why we're looking at moving to a continuous cycle. We're hoping to also preserve the 12.5% property toll rollback that the state provides on behalf of our residents. I know I had a short period of time and I'm talking fast to try and get a lot of information in, but there's more information at the city's website at beavercreekohio.gov. You can click on renewal street levy, and I'll show you a slide real quick. You can look at the ballot view, see by precinct exactly what you're going to be voting on, what the legislation says. You can look at the Greene County Auditor's information. As Paul indicated earlier, we've got a link so that you can look at your tax estimator. And then you can look at the legislation that was passed by City Council to place this on the ballot. Again, go to beavercreekohio.gov, and this circle that I've got kind of on our screen going around the renewal street levy sign. That link will take you to all that information that we just described and some more frequently asked questions as well. Of course, you can always talk to myself or the city manager. We're always happy to answer questions or answer questions at the end as well. The last thing I just wanted to say is thank you. You know, we really appreciate the partnership that we have with the community, and we appreciate the opportunity to be in front of you community leaders today. So thank you for what you do to make our community great. And thanks for allowing us a brief opportunity to tell a little bit about our street levy today. I'd be happy to answer any questions at the end once we get there. And thank you again.
Thank you, Mike. And as I mentioned before, we're going to save all questions till the end. So without further ado, we're going to move into Alex Zaharieff on the township streets.
Well, thank you, everyone. I'll make this short and sweet and easy. Ditto what Mike said, but just for the township. No, I thank you. And we do have a road levy on the ballot. It is a renewal. It is much like Mike was mentioning in the city. It is one of our large levies. It's a 1 mil levy that was voted in originally as a 1 mil levy in 1982, and then it was replaced and increased in 2006. This is 38% of our operating costs for the road department. We're asking for a renewal, but continuing so that we protect the rollback that's in place, the 12.5% that we get from the state of Ohio. So let's talk about some things that were going on in Beavercreek Township in 1982. The price of asphalt was $59 a ton. Currently, it's averaging about $80 a ton. That's a 36% increase. In 1982, we had centerline miles. We only had 17 miles to worry about. And today, we're at 48.5. That is a 182% increase. In 1982, personnel. Well, the city was only 1 year old, and most of our employees, when they incorporated, went with the city. And I think most of them are retired now, Mike, that were original township employees. We had 3 employees in 1982. In 2006, when we renewed it and increased it to 1.5, we had 9 employees. Currently, we're at 10 full-time employees, 1 part-time employee, and we have some seasonal, both summer and winter seasonal staff. What's the road department do? What does our folks do? Well, not only do they take care of our roads, as mentioned with the word road levy, they take care of all our storm sewer, snow and ice removal. But our guys also take care of and maintain our Beavercreek Community Library. We handle all the maintenance in the building. We also take care of the paving of the parking lot and the streets leading it into the library. Our guys also take care of the cemetery. We have 1 cemetery that we maintain in the township. They also provide maintenance for our buildings. That includes all current 4 fire stations, soon to be 5th fire station. They take care of all the maintenance issues regarding that. They also provide maintenance to our fire vehicles. So we have some great mechanics that work on our fire vehicles, as well as our cruisers in our substation with the Greene County Sheriff's Office. So, you know, these guys, they're road heroes, both in the city and the township. As Mike mentioned, they're out there and they just make our community look good every day. The renewal, as I said, will not be a tax increase. It'll cost about $37.22 per $100,000 evaluation. And the question I always get is, well, how much does it cost to pave like a mile road? Well, if you take on the current pricing, it's about $93,000 to pave just 1 mile of road. And that doesn't include the long-term maintenance, painting it, ditch work, curb work, and things like that. So we appreciate your support in the May election, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Can I put a question out to everybody? and that is all of these are renewal levies. How can you keep renewing a levy that's the same number of dollars from 20 years ago and still pay for what we're doing today?
I'll go first. So yeah, I think Alex, when Alex broke that down, that's a great way to look at it. Because that's the same way we do look at it in the schools too, is I think a lot of people see new houses popping up in Beavercreek Township and Beavercreek City, and therefore they know those individuals are paying more money. For schools, House Bill 920 prohibits us to get any growth. So that's why you see us, I'll give you an interesting stat. On May 4th, this will be the 27th levy that Beavercreek Schools has ran since the year 2000. Of those 27, there's only been 4 new levies. So that's what schools struggle with, is you are running off of a budget that's many, many years old. And obviously your spending continues to go up because we have more kids, we have to hire more staff, so on and so forth. And the cost of doing that business continues to increase. Therefore, you have to run new money. So we average about new money levies about every 5 years. But when you have 27 of them over 21 years, you feel like you're always on the ballot because you're always renewing or trying to pass one that has failed maybe multiple times. So it's a struggle.
This is Mike with the city of Beavercreek. For us, it's a similar challenge. We had several years ago parceled out some of our capital and put a capital levy on the ballot because our operation levy was getting eaten up by operational costs, and we weren't able to aggressively apply for all those grants because we were starting to run out of funding. So we put a capital levy on the ballot. It was a 2 mil capital levy, and residents approved that. So that's what's allowed us to renew this levy and stretch it a little bit further. I will note that this levy, the operation levy, was also increased 5 years ago. So we're looking at stretching this for 10 years at this point. So basically the same money we had 5 years ago, with another 5, our goal is to try and make it every bit of that as long as we can. So thanks, that's a good question.
Eric, I like one last. Ditto what Paul and Mike said. I mean, it's exactly what we are constantly evaluating. Also, with some of the other things that were mentioned, we're constantly evaluating cost control. We recently went to a fleet management program, which overall saved the township $350,000. Which that savings is, allows us to stretch your tax dollars. We have, I think, I'll be doing probably an update on this in the next couple of months, but right now the township has 33 shared service agreements with other communities, 11 of which with the city of Beavercreek. And right now I think that's about an $8.6 million savings to the taxpayers of this community, which is about 6 mils. I'm about to sign another shared service agreement with the county engineer on road projects and traffic light projects, sharing that cost with other communities. And much like the city, the city does a great job at it. We go out as much as we can to look for those tax dollars to match with grant money as well. We're constantly looking, evaluating Ohio Public Works Commission grants, the track application that I mentioned a couple of weeks ago. So we are constantly looking at those things. Township-wide, we look at insurance benefits and salaries and overtime costs. Those are all things that we're constantly evaluating. It's not my money, it's your money. We're going to try to stretch our tax dollars best. Before I can even take a tax increase to the board, we have to bring 3 options, and we have to look at all and provide all measures where we've done cost savings to show to the board that this is actually necessary to put it on the ballot.
I got a quick comment. I'm sorry. I know we're almost out of time, but I do want to say thank you all 3 for speaking today. So I always look forward to hearing about the levies. And want to thank Mike Thonnerieux. I've known him for a couple of years now, but man, just really impressed of how knowledgeable you are and how much passion you have in your work, as well as Pete Landrum and Alex as far as grants. You guys do very well with putting grants out there and getting money for our community. And Paul doing a great job. I wouldn't want to be in your seat, but I did want to ask, is there a way to get signs, or how do I get a sign for the school levy?
So we do have signs. You can do one of two things, Stephen. You can text me where you want a sign and I'll throw it in your front yard for you. Or if anybody wants to pick up signs, we do have a limited number of signs left here at our central office. So you can stop up, and if we have signs left, we will hand them out. We've been handing them out to community members that have stopped up.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
We got about 3 minutes left if anybody else has any more questions.
If I could just respond to Stephen's comment real quick. This is Mike Thonnerieux again. I want to thank the city manager and our city council for their support, and also our staff. Your words are very kind, Stephen, but it takes a whole group. It takes our engineering department and our public service department to pull this all together. And then us to make a recommendation, the city manager to give some additional vision to it, and then city council and the mayor to ultimately approve it. So it's I get to come and talk about it today, and you're right, I'm very passionate about it, but there's lots of people involved in this, and I'll certainly pass your kind words along to all of them. So thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Any other questions?
Hey, JD, this is Jerry. Can I put in a commercial?
Go ahead.
Okay. I came here, as many of you did, as a military member. Our son was 3 years. Well, the first thing we did was look at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, look at the school systems around here. Beavercreek was by far what we felt was the best. So we moved here based on that. The Air Force saw fit to move me when my son was halfway through his junior year. Our family stayed here because of the schools in the city. He graduated, and we came back about 4 years later and have been here ever since. It's a great city. You do a good job. Thank you all for what you do.
Thank you, Jerry. We have time for probably one more question if anybody's got any questions.
Jay, this is Shannon. I have a quick question. I'm kind of curious on Treybine, where the speed limit, like in a mile area, goes like 3 or 4 different speeds. I understand the safety concerns of dropping it all of the new developments, but wouldn't it make more sense to just make the road down through there 45 consistent versus 50 and 40 and 35? And it just seems like it's more of a safety issue because it's hard to establish your speed until you're right up on those speed determiners. So any thoughts on that?
First of all, I don't disagree. Unfortunately, under the Ohio Revised Code, townships are not allowed to govern their own speed limits. So for us to, and first of all, Treybine Road is a county road, although a lot of our roads touch the county road, and we work together on a lot of projects. And county road, Treybine Road will be paved this year from US 35 all the way to 235. For us to ask for a reduction in speed limit, we have to first petition the county engineer to do a traffic study. Once that traffic study is complete, and then it has to be sent to the Ohio Department of Transportation, where they have the final say on whether that speed should be reduced. And for example, under state law, all unincorporated areas of the state of Ohio, if not posted, the speed limit is 55 miles per hour. So you take Ankeny Road, which is right next to residential homes and Coy Treybine. Ankeny Road is 55 miles between 50 miles per hour from Dayton Xenia to Treybine. supported over the years legislation that can be put in place to allow townships of certain size to maintain their own speed limits. Even the ODOT director agrees with us on this one. He says, I don't understand why ODOT has to be the final say. You know your communities better than we do. So that would save us not only time, because traffic studies are expensive, but it would save us time. But yes, I agree with you, Shannon. It should be 35 to 45, all the way up to from 35 to 235.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alex.
And with that, we're out of time. Thank you very much to Mr. Otten, Mr. Thonnerieux, and Mr. Zaharieff for presenting those. I know we didn't have a whole lot of time, but those are very important issues. And as Jerry said, I'm a military member as well. One of the main reasons I picked Beavercreek was because it was such a great city. So keep that in mind when we're voting on May 4th. And without further ado, I'm going to turn it back over to Mike.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone who presented. Thank you, Jacob, for being here. I will turn it over to Beth to do our book dedication.
So in honor of Alex, Mike, and Paul, we will be donating book 2 of the Revenge of Magic series to the Beavercreek Community Library.
Thank you, Beth. Okay, so next week, one of my favorites, I think it might be a favorite for a lot of us, we have an induction ceremony for Beavercreek Police Chief Jeff Fiorita. You don't want to miss that. And our program will be from Terry Slaybaugh from Jobs Ohio. He'll be giving us an update on Jobs Ohio, and we'll be introduced by Commissioner Rick Perales. As a reminder, please keep an eye on upcoming programs at beavercreekrotary.com and Facebook. Is there anything else for the good of the club? All right, have a great Easter weekend, everyone, and we'll see you back here next week.